that's what you want to see. And a lot of that came with Tate Rodemaker at quarterback. So that's going to be the question is he now going to be Tate's guy? I mean, you looked at for the first 2 games, Ontario Wilson was kind of Jordan's guy. And we've talked about this in the past with quarterbacks. They all have their certain go-to receivers. So is Johnny Wilson, big 6'7" target, is he going to be Tate Rodemaker's number 1 target from this point on?
Jason, you know as well as anyone that's been a position of need, probably next to your beloved offensive line for Florida State.
Obviously.
That has been the position of need where it has not looked like a Florida State wide receiver room for 5 years
Yeah.
collectively, and this is not a vintage Florida State yet. We're not going to sell it as that at the wide receiver position, but these guys are making plays that we haven't seen made by this unit for quite a while.
I'm the best thing I can say about this performance is, and you talked about it, like I said before the game, when we talked about it Wednesday, we said what were the key area of concern I had, and I said I need the running game to show up, and we talked about it a little bit already. Ward and Benson combining for 196 yards. That's what I needed to see. I like the fact that Johnny Wilson was the star receiver because you look at it, I mean. The number 2 receiver in terms of yards was Cam McDonald with 45. Ontario Wilson only had 38. So it was good to see a few guys finally get to that point. I don't want to put the cart before the horse on this one. I know I use that expression a lot in the last couple of shows, but at the same point, I guess I just have to feel like if Florida State is finally going to win these games, this is a game where you would not have, and you look at Twitter, you look at social media, when Florida State went down 28-21, it's like, oh, this is over. When Tate Rodemaker came in the game, it's all right, well, this one's over. And Florida State is going to leave the Commonwealth of Kentucky with a 3-0 record at a 35-31 victory against all the obstacles that were placed before them, against all the injury obstacles. You almost have to say sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. And so the question comes now, all of a sudden you got a Boston College team coming in that at best is going to be 1-2, at worst would be 0-3 if they lose tomorrow to Maine. If they lose tomorrow to Maine, I think that would be an embarrassment. It'd almost be like, oh, I don't know, losing to Jacksonville State. But that's where we're going to come in. And if you're 4-0 heading into Wake Forest, if you're 4-0 heading into what's going to be the juggernaut month on the schedule as a whole, then all of a sudden Wake Forest may not look as scary. Georgia Tech may become guaranteed. And if you have that stretch there where you got Georgia Tech at the end of the month, and if you're 1-3, or excuse me, 1-2 out of those first 3 games where you can, let's say you pull out one against Wake Forest and you lose to NC State or Clemson, all of a sudden you're 6-2 heading into the month of November. All of a sudden there's a lot more things that can become realistic. All of a sudden 8 wins is a realistic season.